Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the Brand Builder Show. And if you want to generate a load of free traffic to your website, then this is the episode for you, because we are going to be talking all things SEO, e-commerce SEO specifically. And to talk about that, we've got a master of the game, Freddie Chatt, on the show today. Welcome to the show today, Freddie.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Excited to be here.
Yeah, definitely, man. Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to. I love SEO. I think it's a great traffic channel, and I think there's lots that e-commerce sellers can learn and benefit from it. So I'm looking forward to that. Why don't you give us a bit of your background? Let us know what you've been doing over recent years and where you're up to now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the kind of SEO e-commerce game for 12 years. Started at what was a small e-commerce store here in the UK called Amara. Fortunately, I just got lucky, dropped out of uni, and they had a job going as a marketing assistant, and
Nice.
seemed to like me at the time. So I was doing kind of like a bit of everything when it comes to digital marketing, like kind of Google Ads, affiliates, email marketing, SEO. But then kind of like really kind of like focused it on SEO. It's kind of what just attracted me more. I kind of like really enjoyed doing the different aspects of that. And so yes, I lent into that when I was there. So I ended up leading the team there, and over the next kind of like 5 years, we grew it from virtually zero to just over £10 million in annual revenue, just from the SEO channel.
Nice.
And it was like quite a journey when I was there. Like, we launched international sites, did lots of kind of like content campaigns, link building, technical stuff. It was all kind of like done at scale, because by the time kind of I left, we had kind of over 30,000 products on the site, sort of thing. Wow. So it's like kind of lots of nuances and different things to factor in. So yeah, so that was kind of like the brunt of kind of like my core learning of SEO and e-commerce sort of thing there. And then kind of like for the past few years since then, I've been kind of freelancing, consulting for kind of like D2C e-commerce brands that are looking to grow with SEO, finding kind of like where those their core opportunities are, and helping them kind of like get execute on that. Yeah. And then also the last couple of years, I've got my own little D2C brand that I've kind of like started as a little kind of like side hustle called Village Cricket Co, selling cricket bats, cricket pads, and all things cricket basically. And that's hit six figures, primarily growing through SEO as well there.
Yeah, and I can't remember for sure, but I think that is how I found out about you. It's either that or I saw you on Twitter and then found out. But I'm pretty sure, and I'm not just saying this for the episode, I'm pretty sure I was searching something related to, so I'm 6'6" and I play cricket. And it's hard to find cricket bats that are a good fit for my height. So I'm pretty sure I was searching something about like a long handle or a long blade cricket bat, and one of your articles came up, and then I found out about Village Cricket Co. So, you know, just to show you that proof in the pudding that SEO works. And then I bought one of your bats. And again, before I really kind of knew who you were, and I got a 50 with it with my first innings, by the way. So
fantastic, well done.
Yeah, well, very pleased with the purchase. And so, yeah, really great business. And we can obviously talk a bit about it as we go, because it is a really great case study for the effectiveness of SEO, even in sort of quite niche sports, which, you know, a lot of our listeners would be from America. So if you don't know what cricket is, it's kind of like baseball but better. You know, you get more tactics, more skills, that kind of thing. But I think cricket's actually getting a bit bigger in the US now. There's like a T20 league in the US and going global. But yeah, so it'd be good to just talk about a bit of that journey, a bit of, you know, your overall journey, and really help people unpack how to be successful with e-commerce SEO. A few foundations, then I'd love to talk about real revenue generating stuff, because I know that's your passion area. I know that's obviously what you're good at. But, you know, just to start with, I suppose, is if anybody's listening to this and is wondering, should I spend money on paid traffic? Should I spend money on influencer marketing? What about SEO? What does that look like? Why are you such a champion of SEO specifically?
I think for me, it's the almost like long-term view of the channel. Kind of like, it's not SEO is not a quick win. You can't kind of like do something and start getting traffic the next day. Not necessarily impossible, but compared to paid channels where you can switch on an ad and suddenly you're kind of instantly getting traffic, it's definitely, you need some patience when it comes to it, but also it is something that kind of builds up in terms of ROI over time. So kind of like you can consistently invest, and obviously like it might start slow, but then once you're really hit the ground running and you start scaling it up, like the ROI then just like kind of shoots through the roof, and kind of like all brands at that point are like, oh, we should have done this years ago, and things like that. So I think that's one of the things. It's the it's really for the brands that are looking to stick around for the long haul.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the compounding nature of it. You know, the work I do today is still going to be paying off in 2 years' time, and I'm going to keep adding to that as we go. Which is, for me, that I think I grew tired of running campaigns, doing events, that kind of thing, where you do so much work and it's hit or miss whether it's successful. And if it's not, then okay, well, I'll just try something else. Whereas, yeah, SEO is like you just stack upon stack upon stack. It's really powerful here. Is SEO a good option for every brand? Are there some brands that it doesn't work for?
Yes, I think there's lots of different caveats in different industries. Like some industries are extremely competitive, so it would take a lot more investment to kind of like get a meaningful chunk of the traffic opportunity out there. But at the same time, there's still best practices that you can do. There's in most industries, there's still some sort of opportunity, and it's just a case of kind of like just discovering that. Yeah. Also, for kind of like brands that are entering almost like kind of brand new markets, it's can be kind of, if no one's searching for your product, it's more of a demand capture sort of channel rather than demand generating. So if you're launching if you're a brand that's a really innovative brand new product, then it's probably not the right fit for you at that time. But saying that, there's still sometimes opportunities around looking for, like, if you're an alternative to a more common solution, you can rank for certain terms around that and still drive a lot of kind of like awareness that way. Yeah.
You mentioned there about how difficult it might be to get into a market. How does a beginner know that if they've got a fitness brand or a supplement brand? What are the steps they need to take to decide, is SEO, are there opportunities for me here?
Yeah, so one of the best ways is to just do searches in Google for kind of like what you want to rank for. It's like, is it overrun by people that are both relevant and kind of like authoritative? So I think one of the probably more tricky ones is like kind of skincare and stuff like that, because there's lots of kind of like beauty marketplaces and things like that like just dominate a lot of the things, a lot of like searches and search results and stuff in there. And so it's just a case of like looking and seeing if you think there's opportunities. It's key to not look at just like kind of really generic terms. So don't just kind of like, if you sell jewelry, like don't just search for kind of like necklaces, because obviously that'll be kind of like a really competitive term. But if you sell kind of like waterproof necklaces and things like that, there's definitely a lot more opportunity with like kind of like the longer tail terms.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, good. I'd love to have a bit of like a workshop sort of conversation with you. Obviously, there's the great example of the brand you've built with this. And I think for a lot of our listeners, a goal of going from 0 to 10K a month revenue from SEO would be a dream scenario, right? So I'd love to kind of try and cover, obviously we could talk about this for a whole month and still not cover every topic, but just in terms of a bit of an overview, the key steps, key stages in terms of getting from nothing happening, no consideration of SEO, to generating 10K a month attributed to that SEO efforts. Let's start at the beginning. What's the first stage look like?
So the first stage is like kind of understanding your market and your customer and kind of like what their specific pain points are. So one of the best ways to do this is actually talk, if you've got existing customers, talk to them and find out why exactly they bought your product amongst other products. And a lot of people already collect this information in like kind of post purchase surveys and things like that. So that's a great way of understanding kind of like the key pain points that people that have around your product, and that's then you can use that to inform kind of like your SEO strategy in terms of what content create, things like that. So once you've kind of got that sort of information, you can use some keyword research tools to see what specific terms people are searching for within Google, like that will bring up your sort of kind of like the results that you should want to rank for, essentially. And then you can review those to determine kind of like the size of the opportunity. Kind of like you can look at the search results and see how competitive they are. Are there brands that are of similar size to you that are ranking, in which case there's probably a good chance that you could probably rank as well. And then from there, you kind of like have to create the different pages on site depending on kind of like what types of other stuff is ranking. So if you see a collection page, all collection pages ranking for a certain keyword, then the chances are you need to create a collection page thought to be able to rank as well. Similarly, if there's all kind of like blog content and articles along that side, so like that's where you need to focus. So you basically build out almost like a content map of different pages that you need on the site, and the chances are you probably already got some of them. You just need to be able to optimize them, basically.
Okay.
So then you've got that kind of like basis. This is like or getting the site in a good place for Google, essentially.
Yeah. And for the average brand owner that's maybe the only employee at the moment, just kind of like a founder starting an e-commerce brand, is this something they can do themselves? Is there a big cost involved in a lot of this? What's your experience there?
So there's some like kind of free keyword research tools out there that you can use. Like they're just probably not as easy to use as some of like the paid ones. There's some really cheap ones like Keywords Everywhere that I think for about $10 you can get enough keyword data for like kind of thousands of keywords. So it's like it's pretty easy to use that. Then my kind of like tool of choice as an SEO is Ahrefs. It's much more in depth than just keyword research, but you can put in a keyword and basically get it to pull back all different long tail keywords around that exact keyword. So for my example, for Village Cricket Go, I put in cricket bat and cricket bats, and basically it just then spat out all the long tail versions, like your example of like long handle cricket bat, short handle cricket bat, size 6 cricket bat, all the different variations that you can then look to then, if that opportunity is for your brand, you can then start looking to try and rank for those sort of things. And also it's also quite good at discovering the opportunities around the demand for different options of products that you might not already sell. So when we launched, we just had like an adult cricket bat, and then progressively then launched into junior sizes. So say we could see like kind of based on Google search, what's the demand for a size 6 cricket bat versus size 3. So it helps us in terms of kind of like that first stock order, in terms of estimating roughly how much demand there might be for different sizes as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's obviously a really good tip for anybody in e-commerce, is trying to sell products where there's existing demand. We always say that, don't try and create brand new demand as a beginner. It's much easier to steer that demand towards existing demand towards your product. And we talk a lot about selling on Amazon, and that's the case because it's very much a search orientated platform, and obviously Google's the same, which is really it should be for those that sell on Amazon. It's quite an easy crossover to understand those search and demand sort of dynamics there, so that's really good. Obviously you've got then a list of topics, a number of things you want to try and cover. You mentioned about collection pages. How important is blog content? Should brand owners be blogging, and if so, what should they be blogging about? So you've got quite a lot of informational kind of content on the Cricut website, right?
Yeah, so a lot of it for smaller brands, I kind of like split it into almost two different camps. So if you've got a low number of SKUs, like low number of products, the chances are you probably can't fit as many collections and category pages on the site because you don't have the breadth of products, and therefore you need to lean more into the blog content to kind of like to generate more traffic and revenue from SEO. Whereas if you've got a lot of products, you're in like the hundreds of products or thousands of products, then your best bet is to focus on initially kind of on creating collection pages that kind of like that meet the demand of kind of like what people are searching for in Google. So they're kind of like the two core things. You can still do blog content with lots of collection pages, but your first step should be like kind of focusing primarily on those collection pages, essentially.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, when they think SEO, think, well, I'll write blogs. I've got a skincare brand. I'll write about my skincare routine and share about what I'm up to in the week, and write stuff that is not really being searched about, and ultimately kind of gets them nowhere. Which is why I love your approach, because it is that revenue first approach. Is that what in your experience, the collection pages are what is going to drive the most amount of revenue?
Yeah, generally speaking, if you've got enough products to fill some collection pages, they're definitely going to drive more. That said, there's still a lot of opportunity around different kind of SEO frameworks. So one of my frameworks that I use a lot on Village Cricket Go is like kind of called Best X for Y. So for us, it's like if you search for kind of like best cricket bat for beginners and things like that, like Google surfaces articles and blog posts on that. So it's like we can probably create a a product page or something to rank for that term. So we created an article that kind of like pitched us as like a perfectly good option for beginner cricketers to use. And then we like kind of started ranking quite well for that, and that kind of like that sort of content has kind of like driven quite a lot of traffic and sales for us through the seasons.
With those type of articles, do you list yourself as number one and then other brands beneath, or just your own?
So there's a couple of different options. I think for that one, we just listed ourselves as the option. We also done more kind of like general ones like best cricket bats. Like we did an article for that, and we pitch ourselves for our USP as kind of like the affordable option. That's like our position in the market. So we then feature other ones for if there's like certain different kind of like core points that people are like looking for. So it varies depending on probably the search term and whether you feel like you are the perfect solution or there is like multiple solutions for different people.
Yeah. And with collection pages, a lot of people, I think when they're new to e-commerce might think, well, I've got a black t-shirt in the t-shirts collection, but then I couldn't have it. Say it was a long sleeve t-shirt, it would just be there. But you can also create like a long sleeve t-shirt collection, and you would have multiple products. Sorry, one product would be in multiple collections, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like that's the best way to do it. Like one of the things that like larger brands can really focus on is if you sell when I was at Amara, there was over 1,000 cushions on our website at one point, and we just had one cushions category. So what we did was then look at the keyword, like kind of research demand, and be like, right, there's 1,000 people searching for grey cushions, velvet cushions, green cushions, like all different types like that, and then created like a range of sub collections underneath that category, or underneath that category to like meet all those demands. And obviously like all those like blue cushions lived in the cushions category, and the blue velvet cushions were also in the velvet category. So it's absolutely fine to have like kind of lots of products living in multiple collection pages.
Yeah. And for the people listening thinking, well, I'd much rather I ranked my product page in Google so that people are one step closer to buying, what would you say to them?
It can be done. I feel like generally from my experience, Google predominantly seems to focus on like ranking collection pages above product pages. That said, if you've got like using that example of like cushions, like if you sell one blue cushion, you should still optimize that product page for blue cushions, because you could still rank for it. But in general, Google seems to favor kind of like collection pages, because I think it's just trying to give the user slightly more options on that next step, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, you mentioned the brand you worked for and the store you got now. What platforms have you used for those? Have you used Shopify or other platforms?
So the Amara was on a custom built platform, and had in-house developers kind of like keep that going, which was actually fantastic. My store is actually on eCommerce, but most of kind of like my clients as consulting are all on Shopify. I try to like, it's nice to work on different platforms just to like kind of learn them and know their kind of like pros and cons and things like that. So yeah, for my main reason for being on kind of like WordPress and WooCommerce is that I knew WordPress a lot better in terms of being able to build the site out myself. So that was my main reason. I keep contemplating moving over to Shopify, but it's just a lot of work.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that, because I found it hard because I've learned a lot about WordPress in recent years, and I wanted to move we talked about moving one of our e-commerce brands over because it was doing really well in search, and we wanted to make it even better. And Shopify there are some challenges, right, for SEO. What are the main challenges you do come across with Shopify? And I suppose what was behind that? You mentioned about the experience with WordPress, but there's some challenges with the Shopify as well, right, that might have put you off?
To be fair, I think Shopify over the last couple of years have really upped their game on the SEO side. Like my main kind of like the two main things that I'm not the biggest fan of with Shopify is when you kind of like create the blog content on Shopify, it's a very basic kind of like CMS for blog content. Obviously, it's the e-com first sort of thing, whereas WordPress is almost like kind of content first, and then you tag on the e-com side of things. So it's not as good on that side of things. And then the other part is they by standard generate multiple product pages using a funny URL structure from collection pages. So if you click through a collection page, then the product URL will be /collection, whatever the collection name is, and then /product. But then the actual page that Google can index and rank is just /product. So it causes a few kind of like crawling issues. And it's not ideal, and it's one of the it's a really easy fix. Literally takes about 5 minutes on most themes, but it's just it kind of like just stunts potential growth for a lot of brands, basically.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so fixable, which is good. We're not going to talk about all the fixes of everything in this episode, but it's good to know it's fixable. So if you're on Shopify, SEO is still a good play. Those initial few months, you've got that content planned out and you're starting to create it. As you start to then generate traffic, what's that next step? What did you do to get from starting to get some traffic to really turning that into 10K a month, 6 figures a year? Those figures you mentioned is quite substantial for a new brand, especially in a niche like cricket. It's not like the biggest global niche. So talk to us about that next phase of revenue.
Yes, so then you kind of like start, once you're creating content, you've optimized some pages on the site, like you need to try and get links from other websites to your site to eventually, they act as almost like votes from Google to kind of like to encourage them to kind of rank you higher. Google's come a long way in recent years that a link from any old site doesn't mean the same anymore. So there's the two key factors on it is relevancy and authority. So if you're a skincare brand and you get a link from a beauty blog, even if it's a really small beauty blog, it will still probably be more powerful than if you got one from like kind of a barbecue blog or something like that. So it's they're the two key caveats to kind of like look at. But one of my kind of like favorite tactics to kind of like drive links for most brands, because most brands are quite giftable and obviously see big Q4s and things like that. And a lot of major publications will write gift guides every year. So my best tip is to basically look at who wrote a gift guide and in that gifting occasion last year. So obviously you've got like a Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, Christmas is the big one. Look at what kind of like journalists and writers have written gift guides in the previous year and just reach out to them and basically be like, saw you wrote one last year. Are you going to write like update it for this year or write a new one? Like, would love to send you kind of like a sample for you to check out and consider including it. And that's just a really powerful way of getting some kind of really high authority links from some like great publications. Like in the past, I've had ones from like kind of GQ, Vogue, House Beautiful, all sorts of places like that, just for like even like really small brands that have just basically reached out and kind of like sent a sample basically.
Yeah, very cool. And how are you, once you start getting that traffic, you've got the links, you're building authority, growing in search engines, how, I suppose for brands that are running paid traffic, that have other sources of traffic, what are the keys that someone needs to, or the steps someone needs to take, to be able to attribute that revenue to SEO? Do they need to really learn Google Analytics? Are you using some other system? How are you measuring the success of your SEO efforts?
Yeah, so my way is basically Google Analytics. It's still less than ideal. I feel like whereas most other channels drop cookies and attribution models, then track them for like kind of like 1 day click, 7 day views and things like that. Whereas traffic from Google rarely gets that sort of kind of like presence in a lot of attribution tools. And so even on the kind of like a last click model, there's like, it's not a full visible view of kind of like how SEO is performing, because particularly around you create informational content, the chances are like it's almost more of a brand awareness play where someone search for like some informational content around what you sell, they land on your site, they read it, they then leave, and then they'll come back on an ad or a retargeting ad or an email or something like that. And obviously like SEO doesn't get any kind of like recognition in that sort of in angle, but at the same time like it's a major part of that. So one thing that I used to look at on Google Analytics, the old version, not the newer version, is I used to be able to show you different attribution models. So if you use kind of like a linear one or time decay sort of things, like SEO is always quite further like up the funnel, so it's like one of the introductory channels more so than conversion. Obviously it still has conversion like potential, but like there's so much more to it than just that, which is what I always found quite interesting when showing clients that.
You mentioned the new version of Google Analytics, which is going to be my next question. How are you finding it?
I'm still not a big fan. It's still, I feel like it just has changed it in such a way that it makes it harder to use. I think someone told me once that Google, the old version was built for marketers, whereas the new version is built for more kind of like data analysts. So it's like all the data is still there, and you can actually, and I've seen in practice that you can actually get a lot more data from it, but it just takes a lot more work to pull out that into like kind of a separate report or like in an external place sort of thing. So for a standard marketer that is used to kind of click around some of the reports to get the information you need, it has made it a bit more tricky. Yeah,
I do want to like really learn it because I think it is important. I mean, we've set up the GA4 to just collect all the data, but I was completely lazy and bailed out and got plausible analytics. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like just basically like a super simple version. It's annoying because it is a paid tool, when there is something free there, but it's just so much more simple, and it's something that I just don't have the time or space to learn, because it feels like it's almost like you need to take a full-time course for a month just to learn Google Analytics 4. It's mental.
Yeah, it is. It's truly crazy.
Yeah, bless them, Google. Which I suppose that would be a good sort of topic to bring us to an end on. It is the idea of Google and where things are going. Obviously, you've built up a great business, and we talked about the foundations of getting started, identifying the content, getting those links, really the foundations of the world of SEO. But where is this whole thing heading? Because it feels like 2023, there was so much talk about AI, the future of search, Google introducing their own, AI generated search results. What do you feel like? Should someone that's investing heavily into SEO for their brand, should they be worried about the future? Are you confident about the future? What are your feelings?
I'm definitely, I might be biased because it's what I do, but I'm definitely still confident when it comes to SEO. I feel like people are always going to be searching for things online for the vast future. But probably what will happen is like how people search will slightly change, or kind of like how Google presents the search results will change. Like the search results have changed greatly in like kind of like the last 5-10 years anyway. One of the key things that people seem to be slightly more worried about at the moment is kind of like Google introducing almost like the AI answers at the top of search results, and obviously that will then push organic search results even further down. My opinion on that is that in its early showcase that Google, like beta users at Google, like see, and people have shared stuff, like it pushes down their ads a lot, and obviously that's their main source of income. So they're not going to sort of like greatly like kind of suffer their own income for like that much. They can say they're all for the users, but they're a business at the end of the day. So I think that there's still going to be opportunities, and even if that is ranking to try and appear in kind of like AI results and things like that, like in certain cases, like in ChatGPT, when it uses kind of like Bing search, so it means that people need to maybe optimize for like kind of Bing a bit more now. So it's just like it'll change, but I still think people are always going to be searching for these things. So there's always going to be an opportunity. It'll just be working out kind of like the best way. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I think I'm biased too, right? But I do think this is why e-commerce is such a strong business to be in, because AI is not going to be able to produce skincare for you. AI is not going to be able to make clothes for you. Yeah, like obviously robots in a factory one day, but maybe it could make clothes. But you still then have to sell that physical product. A physical product is a great, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It really does help you, avoid a lot of the issues that AI can create. I think if you're just generating traffic and you just got information to give away, then sure, Google might eat all of that up. But if you're selling physical products, there's like literally no real way for that to be consumed by AI. So I'm with you, man. I'm bullish on e-commerce in the world of AI. It's good, man. It's good. So talk to us a bit about then what you do and who you're a good fit for. If there's anybody listening thinking, Freddie, this sounds great, but I don't have the time for it. What do you do that helps people with this?
Yes. So one thing I have is a free SEO checklist. So you go to my website, freddiechatt.com, download that. It's completely free. Gives you some tips on how to optimize collection pages, product pages, how to find content, a few different link building opportunities that you can explore. I've recently launched an online course which basically takes you through the entire process that I went through for Village Cricket Co. and how I grew that to 10k a month. So that's at freddiechatt.com/bootcamp. And so essentially for Village Cricket Co, I run it as a side project. Obviously I know SEO, so it's a bit easier for me, but I run it as a side project, and I basically did that in about 4 to 5 hours a week of actually SEO effort on that site as well. So it's like, it doesn't have to take up a lot of your time. If you can just do a little bit each week, it can really help. And outside of that, if you want to follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn, just search for Freddie Chatt. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Freddie Chatt on both platforms at the moment, so it should be quite easy to find.
That's chat with a double T if anybody's listening on audio for the website, and we will obviously link in the description all those things. Highly recommend getting on Freddie's newsletter as well. It's a great newsletter. I read it every week, and the course is like dirt cheap, right? It's like super cheap. I can't remember how much it was, but
$150. So if you can get a few sales, then you should be ROI positive on that.
Absolutely. I'd recommend anybody that wants to grow organic traffic to the website, pick that up for the playbook of how to get started. So amazing, Freddie. Thanks so much for coming on. I know you're super busy, clients and your own business and all this kind of stuff. So I do really appreciate you taking the time out and coming on the show and adding so much value. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Ben.
No, my pleasure. Well, there you go, guys. Amazing insight into the world of SEO. Get started now. In a year's time, you'll be thankful you got started today. It's something that just keeps on compounding. Great traffic channel for your e-commerce business. And so take notes on this episode. Go follow all the links to Freddie's stuff. And if you've liked this episode, please do give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next episode, same time next week. Take care.